Hey, welcome back to the channel. And today I was going to do a short video on Lionel smoke units. So I had a subscriber comment about a shortcoming that I had in one of my videos on the changing of the batting in a smoke unit. And so I just wanted to spend a little bit of time going through that. And additionally, I think you could see on my layout, it's under construction a little bit. We're going to be changing it out. And so stay tuned. I'm going to be doing a tour of the layout once I get finished with some of the changes. So let's take a look at some smoke units. Okay, so let me first start off by saying that I have no electrical engineering background. I know very little about electricity, and I am not a service provider, so I don't repair other people's trains. But I have enough of the Lionel trains that I feel comfortable fixing some of them, okay? And so with that, when you look at a smoke unit like this, there are 3 different smoke units that Lionel uses in their Legacy and Vision Line engines. Those are the only ones that I'm going to be talking about. Those are the only ones that I have. And I'll refer to as, first gen or second gen. And so, like, for example, this smoke unit itself is what I would consider a first gen smoke unit, because when you look at the reservoir, it's all metal, and it still has some of the electronics on the outside of the PCB, and the PCB is the printed control board. And this particular smoke unit was in engines that were produced in 2011, 2010. Okay. Now, a smoke unit that was in engines in perhaps like 2013 and forward is this one right here, where you've got the PCB, printed control board, and all of the electronics that are required are inside the PCB. The reservoir is plastic. Okay. And then the third smoke unit that's on the Legacy and Vision Line engines is a dual smoke unit that has 2 reservoirs, 2 motors, 2 sets of electronics built onto one PCB, okay? And so, for example, if you're looking at a steam engine that has the smokestack and then there's a whistle nearby, that would be run off of a dual smoke unit, where the stack comes out of one and then the whistle is out of the second reservoir, okay? If you have a steam engine that is a little more intricately designed, a little more expensive, it may have 2 smoke units. One where the smoke unit would be for the stack, and then there would be another individual smoke unit for the whistle, perhaps, okay? So in all the cases, they all pretty much share the same design for the smoke unit, all right? And we'll talk about that a little bit. Let's see. As far as the smoke units themselves, the heating element is a resistor, an 8 ohm resistor, And it looks like this when you purchase the parts from Lionel. And I could zoom in on the part. Maybe I can't. I'll provide a list of the part at the end of the video. The other thing that's needed for a smoke unit is the batting. And again, that's something that you could purchase from Lionel. And a lot of these parts are pretty expensive. I mean, the batting, although it's gone up in cost, I think Lionel is actually charging $8 for this now. The heating elements, I think they're about $2 each. And then the fans themselves, I think they are around $2 each. But the thing that you have to pay attention to when you're ordering the part is just make sure you order the right fan, because when you look at them, there's two different sizes. And so, depending on the engine, will dictate what type of motor you get. But those are the parts that generally will fail on a smoke unit, and that is that the fan might fail. There's the 8-ohm heat resistor, which is inside and connected to the PCB. And then finally, the batting itself might get burnt, and that will impede the amount of, or the volume of smoke that comes out. And I'll take one of these apart for us to take a look at shortly. Okay, and before I take it apart, there's something else that I wanted to talk about. So these are the smoke units that that Lionel also sells. And this is my practice. Probably isn't the most economical practice, but this is what I do. I'll buy a spare smoke unit. And if I have a smoke unit fail on one of my engines, and it's an engine that I feel comfortable enough to take apart and replace, I will go ahead and take the body off the chassis, go ahead and remove the smoke unit, and then insert the new one in there. It's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty simple to do. And then on a rainy day, a day that when I feel like I really want to take one of these apart and whether it's replace the fan or replace the heating element or replace the batting or do all three, I feel like getting the soldering gun out and spending some time working on it. It might be a rainy day outside. That's when I'll go ahead and repair my smoke unit. So if I have an engine that fails, I don't want to be burdened with having to take it apart and spending the time to fix the smoke unit. I'd rather just take it apart, replace the smoke unit, put it back together, and then go ahead and enjoy playing with the train. So that's just my practice. Other people may find other ways to do it, but that's just how I go ahead about doing it. All right, so for just to show you what the inside looks like a little bit, I'll go ahead and take this PCB off of the reservoir so you can get a glimpse of what it looks like. And again, I'm dealing one hand with the camera and one hand holding this. So we're just going to take the screws apart off camera, and then we'll be able to take a look to see what's inside. All right, so I took the 4 screws out, and when we lift the PCB, all right, you could see here's where the heat 8-ohm resistor is. Had a little bit of fuzz there. Anyways, so you can see where the resistor is, and again, if it fails, and you could tell if it fails or not because the engine itself will tell you when the cab lights light up, tells you whether it's the smoke element or whether it's the fan. You could see here is the blade of the fan, and then here is all of the batting, okay? And it's pretty simple. You use a pair of needle nose pliers to go ahead and pull the batting out. If it's black and all crusty inside, you know it's time to replace it. And you just need to be able to be good with a soldering gun to be able to remove the 8-ohm resistor, replace it with a new one. And the same goes for the fan, because when you look at the fan, the connectors are really pretty tiny. So you need a steady hand, and I use my magnifying glass on my desk to go ahead and do it. It works well. So, especially when you're a 72-year-old geezer like myself. And so one other thing that I wanted to cover with the smoke units are the engines themselves. So I feel pretty comfortable, working on diesels. So for example, I've got both our legacy engines. The 1263 in the back is 63887, and that was released by Lionel in 2013. And the GP7 here, did I say that was a GP7? That's a GP9. And the GP7 here is 628596, and that was released in 2011. And the reason why I'm using these two as an example is when you look at the size, they're identical. The screw placement on the frame and the chassis are identical. However, when you take them apart, they are totally different. The older version, this one right here, is really not designed well inside. And when I say that, because the boards are screwed into pillars, plastic little pillars, okay, that's about 1.5 inches long, and they're screwed into the pillars, and the pillars are fragile. If you bump it, you break it. So you have to be careful on the GP7, the older version. On the GP9 itself, it's pretty simple to pop off the cab and to be able to get in there and change the smoke unit out pretty easily. So I find that the diesels are easier to work with. The bigger the engine, the easier it is to work with because there's more room. So if you're looking at some of those SD70s, I would think that they're pretty simple to work on. And likewise, on a lot of the steam engines, when you're looking at, for example, a Challenger, a Vision Line Challenger, pretty simple to work on. If you're looking at a Berkshire, Legacy Berkshire, I keep on referring to it as a Berkshire. It's a Berkshire, relatively easy to work on. Now, things that I've gotten overly confident about and taken apart myself, like the H10, it's a smaller engine, and consequently, when I opened it up to replace a smoke unit, both smoke units, because it has two, successful in swapping out both smoke units. However, when I put the steam chest back onto the frame, I jarred some boards and I shorted it out. So, you need to know your limits, and patience is key when doing this. Just make sure that you're careful removing everything. Make sure that you, document what goes where so you know how to put it back together again. But in most cases, this is the single point of failure, is the smoke unit itself. And I wanted to give you a glimpse of what were the different parts and how to go about changing them. Hopefully this was helpful. And stay tuned for my tour layout. Once I get the additional bridge put in, and I'm swapping out some track. I'm taking out Super O track, and I'm putting in some Ross track. So looking forward to getting the train layout operational again. Thank you for watching.